We're back.
And we're back.
How was the weekend?
It was good. It was good. Relaxing. Didn't do much. I think my foot's broke, so that's cool. Exciting. Didn't do nothing to it. Just decided to
It's
do it on its
because
own.
you are getting old, sir.
Never. How was Dallas?
Dallas was good besides the game.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Did you even watch the game, like looking at it, or did you just look at the screen the whole time?
Both. There was a guy who was like with us who he kept getting like kind of like vertigo. We were up pretty high. We were up pretty high. But he was like, I just have to watch the screen.
Couldn't look down?
No. It was yeah. I was rally toweling or had the rally towel. It didn't help.
Apparently didn't rally hard enough.
But yeah, it was a good experience. That stadium is giant.
It's massive.
There's so many people there, and there was a lot of Saints fans there. And it didn't help that they were just kicking our tail. But yeah, overall it was a good time.
Yeah, good.
Today, I think we were going to want to talk about this article put out by CPA Practice Advisor.
Yeah.
This is the AICPA and NASBA seek input on proposed new pathway to CPA licensure. I saw this the other day and thought it was interesting because I always hear about the difficulties of or the problems of people getting a CPA and how it's reducing the workforce in that area.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading through this because initially when you sent me this article, I didn't read it. I just saw the headline. I'm like, heck yeah, I'm going to get a CPA for nothing. But, as far as they said the CPA pool's drying up, which I don't know if that's because of the requirements based or just less people really having general interest in getting into the field. But this does, to me, if this passes in whatever aspect of it, provide in a potential avenue, even for myself to attempt getting a CPA. Now, the additional college courses being cut out, or potentially the requirement for the additional 30 hours.
Let me just for the listeners go over currently what it requires to obtain a CPA license. So the education portion, so you have to complete 150 credit hours of college level education, including specific accounting and business courses. The examination portion is passing the CPA exam, which has 4 sections. And an experience portion is gaining 1 to 2 years of relevant work experience under supervision of a licensed CPA. And this is all depending on the state because the requirements vary in some certain states. So that's kind of right now where we're at on the whole CPA thing. So this article is basically these organizations are proposing an additional way that you can obtain the CPA license, which doesn't necessarily, I thought it said in here, it's not like, it doesn't propose like getting rid of the 150 hours.
Well, it's the 150 hours stays, but it also provides a new based off of competency and professionalism, or something like that. What the heck?
Yeah, because here it says, under the proposal from the AICPA and NASBA, CPA candidates could meet initial license requirements by exhibiting their competency in specific professional and technical areas.
Technical is the thing.
Yeah, so it says, for example, professional competencies include ethical behavior, critical thinking skills, and effective communication. Technical competencies include options in audit and assurance services, tax engagements, and financial reporting. This is on the proposal.
Yeah. So there were 7, I don't think you have it here, but there were 7 professional competencies they had in which you were supposed to meet all 7. which sounded like that would be observed or decided on by some sort of panel or board. Now,
that was my question: is how do they?
What I had saw through here, it looked like there was some sort of panel or board, whether that be through a interview type process or a test type process to determine your level in each competency-based areas, professional competency-based areas. And then the technical side, you only had to meet one of those. So whether that, I would assume that have to be some kind of test or talk through or whatnot. To me, how can they decide if it is some board? You're just basing it off of one or two people's opinion of you versus it being a test. So I'd assume it'd probably be some test level.
It's gonna have to be some kind of test
in order to decide this. Which I hate tests.
But it says the candidates would still be required to earn a bachelor's degree, complete 1 year of general experience, and pass the CPA exam.
Right. So you'd still have.
So it's an additional. These
be
are
like
all
an
additional.
additional portion. So maybe there's now the 4 things, and you have to have 3 of the 4, with the main obviously being past the 4-part exam. It's interesting. I don't know if it would necessarily tempt me into doing it, but I think what would probably happen here is, as far as they're talking about people coming out of college or something not wanting to take the additional 30 hours, which I get that. But it also provides people like me who's been out of college for 12 years and in the field for 10 years. I don't want to go back to school to take tests in order to take classes in order to meet my 150 hours. Now I think it'd probably give more people in my type of situation that's been in the field for a while that initially didn't seek out a CPA to now there's a viable option outside of having to go back to college to complete your course requirements or your credit hour requirements. So then again, too, as you said, it is state by state. So if it is adopted as a certain practice, not necessarily, I want to believe that all states would have to implement this as a part of their requirements to get your CPA. So it'd be kind of interesting to see if and when this ever comes to fruition.
Yeah, I think it's, if something was put in place like this, it would definitely grow the candidates.
You would definitely have a larger peak in interest, whether that be from younger.
Now that doesn't help
getting out of college.
That doesn't help out, like, because one of the pain points I keep reading is the pay.
Yeah.
So people going to college for that long can go into another industry and get paid more straight out of college compared to what the CPAs are average.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair, but not exceptional in any ways, especially, too, if you're working, I know some friends that had graduated from college that I went to school with and, got their CPA and then went to work for one of the big 4. When you're first starting out and you're working for there and you're the new person, it's a grind and a lot of hours, and the pay is just okay.
Yeah.
So it's not until you get established.
Just somewhat pay your dues. Get in, work your way up, and then you can eventually.
That sort of aspect. I mean, it's kind of to me, it seems as a more of a career path where you've been in it, generates your knowledge and your skill, and the pay reflects there. Not necessarily when you're starting out, and there's a lot of other options when you're starting out where you can go into higher pay positions. So I don't know if that would solve it, but having the CPA title does create a certain increase.
Yeah, I mean, it holds a lot of weight.
So, I mean, it is a tough, what's the word I'm looking for? Certification, I guess I would say, to achieve and gain that title. So, I mean, obviously it carries some weight in the fields for careers that way, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting that they're even bringing this topic up. But originally, when I saw this headline, I was hoping that I'm a shoo-in already.
Yeah, I think it would definitely increase the candidates year over year, because I was looking at, I think they had a 6.8% decrease from 21 to 22, according to the AICPA, and then they counted that to be directly affected by the 150 hours and the low pay.
Yeah, I mean, especially after you've, already got your degree. And it's not even that it's 150 hours necessarily obtaining your master's. It's just obtaining 150. Now, basically, by the time you've got your 150, you've got your master's.
Sure.
But in theory, you could just still have a bachelor's degree and still have to go for another year just to have the hours and not obtain a higher level of degree from the college.
Yeah. I think doing this alternative is still, you're still going to get what you want. You want, qualified people to have that CPA.
Yeah.
I think this still does it.
Especially if you look at it, they say 1 to 2 years. I would see maybe raising that bar a little bit, unless you're meeting their qualifications of competency, I guess. But really, after you've been in it 1 to 2 years, you've gained a lot of knowledge. But how much knowledge have you gained once you've been into it? I want to say 10 years, as I have. I think that's fair enough to say I've gained over my 150 hours. Yeah. And other people who have done the same or have been in the industry for a while. It would be now. It's passing that 4-part exam, which is the major hill. So I can't see why they wouldn't maybe strongly consider doing this and this being put in place sometime down the road.
Yeah. Now, I think, even for specific tax professionals, now that, everyone's going to, why would you go get a CPA when you can just go get an EA?
Yeah, if you're only focused in the tax field. And there are a lot of CPAs that get holed into one area versus more than the other. You got your auditing or your financials or your tax base. So, I would, look forward to hopefully seeing it.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. Moving on. I did see, I sent you over the TikTok of Trump talking about taxes on overtime pay. Yeah. So we going into this Yahoo Finance article. They typed up, so according to Yahoo Finance, this, let's see here. The overtime plan would increase the value of hourly workers' time and a half earnings after 40 hours a week. This has potential to motivate the blue-collar workers in the base. So there was some quick stats I found on Tax Foundation. It says almost 34.5 million U.S. workers reported working overtime in 2023. And overtime pay accounts for about 3% of total compensation in the United States. Any thoughts on Trump saying he's going to not tax overtime?
Well, I think the people who get overtime would love it.
Yeah.
For me, it wouldn't make it's mainly for, the hourly workers.
Well, I think one of the things that people are going to disagree with is it's geared to more of those types of occupations.
Right.
What does it mean as far as payroll, taxes, all that kind of stuff? And it's going to add to, we're going to lose out on a ton of money that we normally collect.
Yeah, and that's the way they say over 10.5 trillion over the national debt in 10 years. Now, who knows how accurate some of these numbers are. Obviously, as an individual, if you're on an hourly rate and you get paid overtime, this sounds amazing because, generally when you're getting paid overtime, those wages are taxed pretty heavily just because of the way, generally some payroll works out. But it's just, again, like they're just throwing all these different wild tax breaks out there. Who knows if this will ever really come true. But, obviously, I don't know what words I'm trying to say here. I feel like it's never going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows, really any of this stuff going on right now because it's just a Right now, you're just casting, trying to get votes.
That takes, I mean, so if you're not taxing overtime pay, so does that pay after 4 years? You're only, what's it going to look like? Obviously, there's no real information or plan out there past what he said that to not tax overtime pay. So does that pay just generally not get included into your wages at all? Now that's just free income?
Yeah. I mean, it's all in question because some of the complaints I see is, it's going to complicate taxes. It's going to increase the labor costs now. So, on the surface, I'm not going to tax overtime is going to get some people
sounds great
fired up.
Yeah.
But what actually happens, I don't know. I mean, that's a big one. I mean, there's a lot of money in that.
Yeah.
So we'll have to definitely see what happens on that.
It'd be interesting to see if any of these things are thrown out there comes to pass. The other thing in this article, too, and there's talking about not taxing, I think that was in maybe something we touched on last episode, but maybe not. The not taxing, eliminate tax on Social Security benefits. That part don't necessarily get. It's already largely in part non-taxable unless you have your other outside income to make it to bring to a certain point of taxability. So I know he's just trying to throw out some other things which will help individuals for sure, but also creates their own set of headaches.
Yeah. I also saw in the article about the 2%. I don't remember him saying that, but it says Trump also vowed to cut mortgage rates to 2%.
Yeah.
Which in the article it says basically he doesn't have the power to do that.
Power to. I mean, sure would be great.
Yeah, you say that right now. You can get 100% vote.
Man, I might buy a house then.
Yeah. But yeah, any more on Donald Trump?
Oh, I'm sure there's more, but nothing that I have to say.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, obviously it seems like a lot of these plans are coming out and to help everyday people, help us all in the tax field to some extent. But I'm just trying to vision how some of these things would be actually calculating the taxes as in the tax field. A lot of them sound like they could just sound easy on the surface, but it sounds like a lot of headaches and a lot of ifs and that's and buts and this and.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of back and forth over the next weeks. And what happens when they actually do elect a new president, then we can come on here and talk about like the actual policies. But right now it's more of catching headlines.
Yeah.
And getting people riled up.
Trying to throw things out there to make them sound great.
Mm-hmm.
And then never do it. That's fine too.
So I just want to touch on kind of where we're at trade show wise.
Yeah.
So last week we were in San Diego. It was a good show. The team did make it back. They did not float off into the ocean.
I'll stay out there.
But they it was good. I thought they said that was a pretty good show. We are currently in Vegas. Today's day one of the Las Vegas show for the NATP organization.
Gotcha.
So we got a team out there. That should be a good show. And then we will wrap up our trade show season in Houston. That's a little whiles out. But yeah, as far as trade shows, we've increased them this year, and so far they've all been great.
Yeah.
The other announcement, we should be opening bank enrollment this week. So that's a big thing. Individuals that use us can go on and, start applying for their bank applications and all that kind of sort of thing, and opting into ancillary products. And so that should be something that we get out this week, hopefully. Don't quote me on that, but that's the plan.
It's coming.
Yeah.
That's about what I know.
Oh. So hopefully we can get that out this week, or it might be next week. So
yeah, it'd be nice, especially for the proactive users and customers that can get that out of the way. I mean, just one less headache to do. It's a lot of form filling out and setting up. So It's always nice to get one little time saver out of the way.
Yeah, for sure. Did you? Oh, I know you took L in fantasy this week.
Yeah.
So did I.
Yeah.
So
great. 0-2, baby.
Hey,
From first to worst, going downhill. I'm going to retain that belt for the next 13 weeks, and it'll be on the block for. I'm going to have a comeback. I believe in myself.
I believe in you.
As the commissioner and reigning champion, I'll find a way to win.
I'm sure there'll be some.
Be through ethical means or not.
Yeah, some sus moves going on in the settings.
Can't prove it.
All right, man. Well, we didn't have a lot to. We just touched on those couple articles and where we're at as far as trade shows and bank enrollment. But anything else you like to touch on today?
Oh, I got nothing.
All right, man.
Nothing
Well,
else.
we will be back next week.
Next week.
Next week.
Sometime.
All right, man.
Maybe later.
All right.
All right.
See you.
Bye.